Hey, my friends, Clark Brown here with Restoration Advisors. New segment that we're doing. This is our couple of episodes in. If you haven't caught them, take a look at our YouTube and you'll see some others. This segment is around core values. This is a real short thing that I'd like to do. I put this out there as a kind of a Facebook Live one day, and it kind of caught some traction. A few people picked up on it. A couple of restorers kind of tagged me, and now they're doing it themselves. So let me give you a little backstory. So if you're seeing this, there's a book called The One Thing. It looks this font. Just look it up on your Audible or your Kindle. The One Thing is about focusing on the one big major thing in your company, in your life, in your relationship that requires the most attention to make everything else simpler or non-existent at all. It's another way to say peeling the onion, if you will. The symptoms are never the cause, and you're finding that. So this came across, one of my little Facebook feed things, just because I'd read the book. And this is a box full of core value cards. So what you do is you order this box, Best Self, not affiliated with me at all, just love it. You'll see in here a couple of hundred cards here, okay? The idea is you pull them out, you yourself, you with your team, lay them on a table. You start out with a bunch and you let everybody pick the core value that speaks most to them. Then you kind of chop that down from your top 5 to your top 3 or whatever you want to do. And then you get real intentional about those core values. So what I've done is I just randomly go through here, shuffle them like a deck of cards, and I pull out a card on a topic and want to speak about that one. And this isn't pre-rehearsed. This is actually just pretty much in real time, which is the way I do a lot of things. But I really want to just bring you big value and challenge you to do this. Whether you buy this stack online, look up The One Thing Best Self. If you see here at the bottom, it's kind of blurry. Best Self. Get your own deck, if you will. Makes it easier. A lot of options there. Makes it simpler. There's a lot of instructions. Or just do your own. Just find some words and bring it up. So I pull out a card and then I want to talk about that. I want to put a little context to it and then maybe inspire and motivate you to do the same thing, or even about this word. So this is a word that I'm going to focus on for the rest of the week or a couple of days until I do this again. But it's never going to leave my psyche. This is a card I pulled up. Growth. Okay? Growth is the card. Growth is the core value. So when we start thinking about growth in core value terms, it means a lot. It's a big word. So I think growth is just improvement. It's learning and developing better skills from failure, but it's the growth of what you do. You fail or you do something and you don't get the result you wanted. Your customer didn't receive it as well as you intended. It didn't have the impact you wanted to. Don't look at that as I failed. But anything you do personally, parenting, you're not doing things the way you think you should as a parent, as a child with your parents. At your church, in your clubs you're in, whatever. It's just every day seeking mastery. There's a book called Mastery about just the excellence that people achieve. It's never, you're not born with this insane amount of talent. You're not born with this insane amount of physical aptitude. You're born and your life leads you to habits and processes and systems that help you get where you're going. Entrepreneurship is a big one of that. There are a lot of people that teach you about entrepreneurship, but no teacher is better than life. And it takes growth. It takes growing beyond what has been not working and what has been a failure and cost you money, time, headspace, it's relationships, employees. I can't imagine anybody watching this can't look back and say, I had a really great employee one time, but I probably underserved them with having a company that was ready for them. I had an opportunity to have an insanely talented person. I just wasn't ready. Can you relate to that? I can. And But I've learned, before you make a decision on bringing forward and hiring a really talented person and looking for a talented person, is my company attractive to that person? Is this where the right person, the superstar, wants to build their future? Ask yourself that and be very objective about it. Take yourself out of your own head and ask, from the outside looking in, what would your friends say about your company and the culture? So that's one area of growth. I also want to talk about, well, a lot of these topics or these examples are around talent acquisition and staffing, because it's certainly something currently, September 2021, that we are struggling with. I don't know when you're watching this video. You might be watching it 2 years from now. I hope we're not still struggling with this situation, but it's a real epidemic. It's a disaster after disaster. So we had a pandemic hit this country, and the effects of that are reverberating through so many things between staffing, supply chain, family dynamics, business workplaces, decisions. But I hope as a country we can grow from that. We can get growth. I hope we get the right leadership that helps everyone, because you and I, watching this, we may have a good idea of what the future looks like, what our growth looks like, and how we think the country needs to grow. But the problem is we need more. It needs more than just us. There's too many others that aren't like us and aren't thinking that way. Just because our leadership in this country isn't developing growth, they're developing divide. And then lastly, I would say to your staff, if you bring aboard some technicians, project managers, or admin staff, or something like that, whether or not they have experience, whether or not they arrive as an A player, maybe they're a B, maybe even a C+. You can do stuff with that, because they probably have had bad leadership, bad examples before, and they just didn't do their best work. But I think somewhere in the crevices of their psyche, they're wanting to give your team a path of growth. Give it every effort that you have to help them become better. I look at so many examples of say in sports, of players that talk about coaches. The meanest cuss you could ever find, beat them up, ran them up and down the field on the days they were supposed to not have practice in the rain, developed them. But they did it because it's the what it took to get hard enough, to get good enough, that on a Saturday or a Sunday when they play a game, to actually win. Because that's the goal, is to, in that case, is to win that game, to have that sense of unity, that growth, to know that I don't normally win at this, but now I do, and I have this incredible inner vision of self-worth. And there's no price you can put on that. So develop those things. But the coaches, they may be mean, they may be thought of as tyrants, but they're doing it because they're doing it because they care. They want you to improve. They want the win too. There's some ego involved, but they don't spend their time with people who aren't there for the same thing. And you should do that with your team. So if you've got the right people, if you've got the right staff, develop a path of growth. Let them know. Ask them, where's an area of growth you would feel like you have? Where can you document that I get mad real easily, or I give up too easy, or I don't do mornings well, whatever those things might be. I don't work with others too well. Needy customers are not great. I don't communicate well because I get real bashful around talking to people. I have a hard time focusing on too many things at one time without a system in place. If you ask those around you, what do you need to succeed? And you're intentional about it, and you record it, and you develop a plan by yourself or with them to help them on that, you have got a following. You have got people who will go to that war, will go to the finish line with you. Even if you don't win the game, they will say, we went there and someone believed in me far enough to help me next time. I have a saying, and I've read this in a book. In the world of winners and losers, you've got to be real careful saying that, because look at the Olympians. You've got a group of Olympians at the, let's say, gymnastics. There aren't really any losers, because they're all top-notch athletes, and they all wanted to win really bad. They all worked all their life to get there. There just can only be one winner, and they happen to be more prepared. They happen to have conditioned well. But that doesn't mean the others are losers. It just means they aren't yet the winners. The ones that stay with it, to keep going, they win next time. 4 years later, they're in Tokyo. They get the gold only because they got silver and they knew what it felt like. They identified where they needed to grow. So growth is a good core value if you put it into that context. I recommend going through this exercise with those. It helps you develop some great leadership qualities, and it helps you paint the vision of to your team. You know, everyone says employees now, it's not always about money. They want to know what the experience and where they're going. What do we stand for? This is your opportunity to clearly develop that. Spend less time micromanaging your team and more time managing the future of your company through these ways like this. So there's just your hashtag accountability for the core value. It's growth. Get it and do your own. If you're going to do this in your own, make a video for your company. Tag me in it. I'd love to see what you're diving into. Get on a call with us. Go to restorationadvisors.com. Contact us. Get on the calendar. Tell us what the experiences was, and we can share with others. I would love to just see this kind of take a real global viral thing, but it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of voices. But I think it's really exciting and really fun. So thanks so much for your time. It's very valuable. You took a couple of minutes to watch this with me. If you have any comments or any ideas, reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to improve and grow. Take care.